I've got this one done. Here's my second stencil. So to get that into place, with this one I haven't cut the bottom, I've cut the top here with the same margin, 1 centimetre round, and I use that up here to get a rough guide, and then the only other way is to just look at the lines that you've drawn underneath. It's not so important where this finger is, but it is here where the eyelashes, and you can see here, like I say, to draw some of these eyelashes is really good. Just to this hook in this corner here, mark it up there, and again, it doesn't have to be 100% accurate, because this is your painting, and what you do in your painting and how you interpret the picture is up to you. The eyelashes don't have to be in exactly the same place as they are in the photograph, but they do, of course, want to be in the right place as far as in position with the eye. Before I start spraying, I have to put my mask on, do a test spray, and then once again I'm just going to go in. With this, I don't want it to be too dark at all actually. I just want to give a bit of an indication. Maybe a little bit darker at the bottom, and at the top, or should I say where the root of the eyelash is, do it a little bit darker. Because I'm going to be going over these freehand anyway, so this just helps me indicate. And here for this finger, but I'm not going to use the 100% black for that. I want to already start using the reduced black. So I've cleaned out my opaque black straight from the bottle. That's the Etac EFX Carbon Black. And now I'm using this pre-mixed, this is the Etac Carbon Black reduced with 5 parts transparent base to 1 part paint. You can of course just use bottled water. That's what they recommend with Etac EFX, bottled water, not water from the tap, because there can be chemicals in that. Anyway, I've preloaded my airbrush once again, my monochrome. I'm just going to cover this up a little bit here. Use some other magnets just to hold this down. But I want to use the flatter magnets so that it doesn't obstruct the view or get in the way. So here we go. I'm using my reference, which you can't see on the image because I wanted you to see this corner. So this is where I'm painting. And this is the nail here, so that's covered with the stencil. And there's just a darker area through the middle here. And I've drawn a little pencil line actually to show me where this darker line is. Now as you can see, this is really faint in comparison to this, which is really dark. This is very faint because it's reduced, but it's exactly the same paint, but it's just reduced down, or what you could call thinned down. You don't want to get mistaken. Some paints have a reducer, and it's called a reducer, and it's not a transparent base. And that's used to thin the paint, the viscosity of the paint. This is actually just to make the less pigment in the paint, so that it's lighter. And then you go in and just build up the layers. I can go now. I've started with this darker area here. I can go in a little bit at the top as well, and down at the bottom. It's actually quite dark down here. This is actually a knuckle here, and that's why you've got it lighter up here than it is down here. And there's kind of an arch going on at the bottom here, which I want to get in. Careful not to make a spot, which I have done a little bit there. Keep looking at your reference. Going from this side. Don't forget to keep your tip of your needle, get that tip dry off, blow off the excess, and go back on again. Now I'm just going round the edge here a little bit of the nail, trying to get that arch in. And remember, don't go in too thickly also, because you want to get the light coats on and allow them to kind of dry in between. Otherwise you can get some problems. I've got a little one coming on here because I've put too much paint on. You can hardly see it, and it will get covered up eventually, but that just reminded me to be more careful. So once again, go over these lighter areas now, and I can clean this up a little bit more later. This is darker here, definitely darker. Across there. The other thing you can do is obviously push down the trigger just for air and not pull it back at all. And you can go over this area, try and speed up the drying if it's too wet. So that's another thing you can do. The other thing is to just be patient and go away, come back. Again, using my trusty magnets to take those off. This one's big enough to lift up on its own. And there, you've got a nice shadow going across here, lighter just a little bit at the top of the knuckle and lighter just down here, and there's the nail, and there's that dark shadow. And again, because this is a dark area, and it just makes it easier for me to go across, using this stencil means that I could freely move my airbrush backwards and forwards and not worry about the overspray, because this part of the nose, although it has some, it's actually some very light spraying will be going on here, but it's very, very light. You will lose the contrast if you get this too dark. So let's have a look at this one as well. Gently and carefully take that off, and here you can see not 100% accurate, but at the top here that's not come out too bad at all. If I go out a little bit more here, you can see there's the dark finger here, and here it is here. You can see the difference between the paint here and this dark. This is the solid black that was straight from the bottle, and this is the one that's reduced, and it's got much more subtlety to it. As I say, this paint's new to me, so I'm using it for the first time. The have to remember I'm not an expert at this. This is me learning, and I'm hoping that as I'm learning I can pass on information to you which might make things easier for you. And if I make mistakes, then you know you don't want to be doing that technique. But this has worked out pretty well, so I'm quite happy with that. Now I'm going to be making another video showing the next steps